So we have been in New Zealand for a little bit over a week now, and I've been really terrible and haven't made any videos letting you guys know anything that I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that now. We've been really busy. We're doing the Kiwi Experience. It is a hop-on, hop-off bus tour, and we don't have a terribly long amount of time in New Zealand, so we're not really staying extra days anywhere. It's mostly just getting on the bus and moving along pretty much every day. And that's keeping us busy. They stop us off and let us see a lot of cool stuff on the way between each stop. And so I will talk with you guys a little bit about that and let you know what we have been up to. So first I will show you the map of where we have been so far in New Zealand, and then we'll talk a little bit about what has happened in each location. So this here is the map of our tour in New Zealand. I am doing the Sheepdog Pass, which is this pink one here. So we started up in Auckland, that's the city we flew into, and then we're kind of following the pink line around down here through the south. And then Wellington is where I am now, and tomorrow we'll be taking the ferry across to the South Island and taking that down the coast and then back up, and Christchurch is our final destination. So we'll take you through and kind of talk to you a little bit about what we have done at each of these stops here. We have first up is Auckland, and then Hotwater Beach, Waitomo, Rotorua, Taupo, River Valley, and finally down to Wellington. Alright, so start of the trip, flying out here, landed into Auckland. And it's a long flight, fairly long flight, and you cross over the international date line on the way out. So we ended up losing a day, which is left the U.S. on the 1st and got into Auckland on the morning of the 3rd. So got into Auckland here, kind of explored the city, walked around, looked at the buildings, went to a casino that was there and did some people watching. Didn't really do anything terribly exciting in Auckland. Yeah, so that was about it for Auckland. After that, we drove from Auckland to Hotwater Beach, and on the way to that, we stopped off at Cathedral Cove, which is a beach area, and there's some really cool rocks there. There's an archway, if you will, where you can walk underneath it, and that's pretty cool. Pretty big thing there. My friend and I did a little bit of rock climbing on some of the rocks around the beach area there. And then once we're to Hotwater Beach, that's called Hotwater Beach because one area on the beach has hot water. There is some geothermal activity in the area underneath the sand there, so pretty cool. You can go out onto the beach, and there's a, I don't know, maybe 20 meters wide section of the beach where you can dig down into the sand and make little pools, and the water in them will be hot from the the earth underneath there is hot. So that was pretty cool. You could stand there and have the nice warm water on your feet, and then if you go and dig your feet down deeper, it gets too hot and starts to burn your feet. So that was pretty cool. That's what we did there in Hotwater Beach. And then let's see, after Hotwater Beach was Waitomo. I'm also probably slaughtering the names on some of these cities, so bear with me there. But Waitomo is, let's see what we did there. Yes, on the way to Waitomo, we stopped at an old gold mine, which was very cool. It was some couple hundred years old, I think, and so all of the structures are gone at this point, and just the foundations for the buildings are still there, as well as some of the tunnels are open, so you can go and walk through those. So we got to go walk along the rail lines for the old mine carts where they used to pull them, and got to explore some of those tunnels, which was really cool, really, really pretty there. And let's see, also, once we got into Waitomo, that is the Blackwater Rafting Company is there, which is very, very cool. Definitely recommend doing it if you have a chance. It is a kind of adventure into river that's going through some caves, and there's glowworms on the ceiling, which is super cool. So they give you a little tube, out of a tire or something, and you get a wetsuit because the water is somewhat cold, and they take you up in there, and you get to go and you walk around in there, and it's pitch black. You have a light on your head, on your helmet, and you get to float around in there a little bit. There's 2 waterfalls that you get to jump off of into the blackness behind you, and glowworms all over the ceiling, which is really, really cool. They have a couple different experiences. We did Labyrinth, is the one that we did, and it was definitely worth doing. Favorite part of that, at one point they have everybody link up, so you all put your feet under the arms of the person ahead of you, make us all into a big long chain, and then the guide starts up, he's at the front of the chain and kind of pulls the rest of us along, and we all got to just lean back and look up. It was in a fairly narrow channel, was pretty tall, and the whole ceiling was just covered in glowworms, and it was like floating in a lake underneath the night sky. Really, really pretty. So definitely would recommend doing that if you have the chance to. After Waitomo, went to Rotorua, and when we were there, let's see. I guess the big thing that we did there was the natives of New Zealand, the people that were here before New Zealand was kind of colonized by English speakers. I think their native people are called the Maori, and so they have a cultural experience kind of thing that you can do in Rotorua, which is a dinner along with it, as well as some of their culture. So you get to go there, and they're all dressed up in their native, clothing and their face paint, and they get to kind of do some tribal ceremony stuff. You get to look at some of their artwork, and they kind of have people there that talk to you about what their stuff is, and this is how their weapons work, and their different kinds of carvings, and how they did all this stuff, which was really cool. And then ended it up with a big feast, which was really cool. So neat to see some of the kind of history of the natives of New Zealand as well. Then after Rotorua, we drove on to Taupo, and on the way to Taupo, we stopped off at a redwood forest and did a hike around there, which was pretty cool. They're, really pretty trees, redwoods, and they have a like a skywalk through them, so you can pay a little extra if you want to and go up there and walk around up above. They've got these bridges suspended from a bunch of the trees, which was pretty neat. I did not do that, but it looked kind of neat. And let's see, we also stopped off at Huka Falls, which is it's a lake right outside of Taupo, or right in Taupo, I guess. And it's got a whole bunch of rivers going into it, and then just one river coming out of it. And at one point in this river, where these waterfalls are, it narrows down to a fairly narrow ravine, and so you've just got a ton of water moving through a pretty small area. They told us that it was 200,000 liters per second, which is a lot of water, and it definitely looked like something that you would not want to go swimming in. You would die, for sure. It was terrifying, but really, really cool, and the water was beautiful. Super, super pretty. We spent 2 days in Taupo. First night was kind of just getting in there, not doing a whole lot, and then the second day we kind of just had an easy day. Went out, hung out by the lakeside a little bit, did some hammocking, and then went to a rock climbing gym, and we climbed there for a couple of hours and had an easy, relaxing day. And then after Taupo is the River Valley Lodge. This place is pretty cool as well. It is a little bit more remote than any of the other places. All the other places we had stayed up to this point are in towns and cities. The River Valley Lodge is just out in the middle of nowhere. Take a dirt road to get there. We passed a guy that was a sheep farmer. We had to stop the bus, and he had to navigate all his sheep around us. He had 5 sheepdogs and several hundred sheep, which was pretty cool to watch him do that. And then you get down there, and there's no internet, no cell service, nothing like that. It's just us and nature, and it was very cool to do that. They had a big river right out back, and they had a little trolley cart that goes over the river, which was really cool. So they got a cable strung across, and a cart hanging off the cable, and then a rope looped back and forth. So you're up on one shore, and you pull on the rope and get the cart to come up to you, jump in the cart, and then pull yourself across the river and get off on the other side, which was really a lot of fun doing that. And also this place, they had a little bit of a different sleeping situation. Most everywhere that we had been up to this point has been either 4 bunks or 8 bunks or 6 bunks. So, 4, 8, 6 people in a room. At the River Valley Lodge, they had a dorm-style sleeping, which was 18 people in a room, and there was 2 of those rooms that were basically the same room. So really you have like 30, 36 people all sleeping in one room. It was really just one big long bed with a bunch of mattresses side by side by side by side, and then a second level side by side by side by side, and then kind of a wall that separated the one room from the other room, but there was open space above on the ceiling, so you were all kind of in the same area. So that was kind of neat as well, to see that. And yeah, so that was River Valley Lodge. It was beautiful there, absolutely beautiful. And then after River Valley Lodge is Wellington, which gets us about to where we are now. We got into Wellington yesterday and went out and walked around the city for a couple of hours, explored down by the docks. They got some nice buildings here. We went to a couple of art galleries and that sort of thing. And then today we got up and we're planning on going down to the museum. They have the Te Papa Tongarewa Museum here. It's a big museum with free admittance, which is awesome. And on the way to that, we had an awesome surprise of walking down the street and, oh my god, is that bagpipes I'm hearing? So we followed the sound and ended up at a little park here in town, and they were having a bagpiping competition. And then ended up going on to the museum. Spent a few hours in the museum and only got through about a quarter of it, so definitely a lot to see there. Very, very cool though. And yeah, this museum has the only giant colossal squid on display in the world, which was very large. Big squid. He was almost, I think it was like just shy of 500 kilograms, so pretty heavy guy. And then they also had a World World War I exhibit, which was very cool. They had these figurines in there that were 2.5 times life-sized, and they were super realistic. Like, you're sitting there looking at these giant-sized guys, and they have eyelashes, and they have stubble, and they have hair on their arms, and their eyes look like they're alive, and like you could see emotion in their eyes. It was very, very cool. So definitely check that out if you get the chance. But otherwise, that's about it. That's the extent of everything here. That's the whole of the North Island. And tomorrow we wake up early and jump on a ferry and go down to the South Island. I will try to do better about giving you guys an update more than once every 8 days or whatever. Hopefully get you a few before I'm done with the South Island, rather than jumbling them all into one video. But we'll see how I do. It's been busy and just hard to make the time for it, I think. So yeah, there you go. We'll see you soon.